Joe Gideon, the Conservative MP for Stoke-on-Trent Central, elected in 2019. I can't believe how old you are, actually.
Well, thank you.
You're 70.
I am.
So you were elected to Parliament for the first time at 67.
Yes.
Do you think there's any ageism in Parliament?
Well, I just don't accept, any sort of glass ceilings and barriers. But yes, certainly there is. I think you have to have a huge level of resilience to become an MP, and I've just kind of kept going, and I don't accept people saying there are these barriers, but there are.
Also, you've been married and divorced 4 times. That must have kept you busy.
Indeed, and that's probably why I went into politics late in life.
You're happy now? Very
happy. It's a massive privilege to be an MP, and I've never worked harder. I've never had as much on my plate, but equally, who wouldn't want to get up early, go to bed late, and have lots of hassle in a job that is massively demanding but massively satisfying.
You mentioned hassle. Has hassle ever turned into abuse?
Yes, and I do think that had I gone in, to be honest, at a younger age, I might not have been able to handle that as well. I think that at my advanced years, I know who I am, I know what my values are, and whilst I'm happy for people to express opinions, all sides of the spectrum, I'm a bit old-fashioned in that I do believe that we need to be respectful of each other, and we do need to use appropriate language. And so, I really don't like the kind of keyboard warriors that you get that feel it's okay because of your political party to be very abusive.
So, if there are people in their mid-60s watching this, thinking, do you know what? I thought it would be. I've always wanted to be an MP, but I thought it might be too late for me. It's not.
No.
What advice would you give them?
Absolutely, we'll go for it. So I always say I was on a very long apprenticeship before I became a Member of Parliament, 17 years from when I first went on the candidates list to becoming an MP. And of course I had 2 attempts in the run-up to being elected in Stoke-on-Trent Central. But that journey in itself was hugely important. And, I spent 13 years in local government. And I think once you've got an understanding of grassroots politics, that helps enormously in a role as a constituency MP.
Let's talk about your constituency. So Stoke-on-Trent takes more asylum seekers than most parts of the UK. There are 2 hotels in your constituency used as interim accommodation for asylum seekers. Has there been any noticeable impact on community relations as a result?
I think the challenge that we had, we've always said that Stoke-on-Trent is a very welcoming city and has been a dispersal area, so they have welcomed more than their fair share, to be honest, when you look at other cities, of asylum seekers. The challenge has been that if you put people into a hotel without the resources and in an area where we're strapped for resources to help the people who are already there and struggling, then you're going to have a level of discontent. But locally, I have to say, organisations have been supportive of the individuals, and I think we have to differentiate between the individuals who have arrived, and we have a lot of families in there, so very difficult circumstances. But the system, which we feel has been unfair towards the city.
And the council, all 3 of the Stoke MPs, all objected to the move, but the government pressed ahead with the move to make those 2 hotels in your constituency interim accommodation for asylum seekers. What's it like when you object to your own party of government, but you still have something done to you which you have expressed a desire not to be done to your community?
Well, I think it's important, first and foremost, my motto is putting people before politics. And first and foremost, you are a constituency MP. Therefore, you have to stand up for, what the people in your constituency believe. So, I trust I've consistently done that. But I am elected as a Conservative MP. And, so I will back the government on our manifesto promises. Occasionally you get legislation where you go, I wouldn't have phrased it like that, or it's not quite what I would have liked to have seen, or you don't get legislation where you feel it's needed. So I've campaigned a lot on obesity and the National Food Strategy.
Yeah. And you want the government to do more on that, don't you? You think it's part of the levelling up agenda, which could be made more of?
Exactly. Yeah, but I mean, the key thing is that I frame it in a way that isn't anti-government. It's basically encouraging the government to look again at a decision that I believe it isn't right. And that's the difference, isn't it, about how you go about politics. I try to make my point in a sort of conciliatory way rather than shouting from the rooftops in a negative way.
You aren't seeking re-adoption as the Conservative candidate. It's something that all MPs have to do. They are selected by local members, whichever party they stand for. Why not?
So Stoke-on-Trent Central, and I must say, I absolutely love Stoke-on-Trent Central. I love being a constituency MP. The boundary changes mean that it will look different after the next general election. An extra 19,000 voters who didn't know me. I'm not their MP. And so there are a number of changes. But anybody that suggests that the decision was based on being offered a safe seat in the south or something, I mean, that's just ridiculous.
I've seen that written about you. People saying actually she just wants to scarp her off to a safer seat. Well,
it's a nonsense. And I have to say, anybody who's seen my social media in the last 3 years will know that I spent every weekend and every holiday and at every recess in the constituency. It's my home, So, that's just a nonsense.
The highlight for you? You might have only been MP for 4 years by the time of the next election. The highlight?
So the highlight is making a real difference to people's lives, and my campaign on button battery safety with Harper Lee's.
Tell us about the button battery campaign. It's a really noble campaign.
It is a really important campaign. In fact, I stood down from a government role in order to lobby government on this, and we've made great progress. So Harper Lee Fanthorpe in my constituency, a little toddler, died after swallowing a button battery. And I promised her mother, Stacey, and it's a campaign with the local newspaper as well, that we would make sure that that button batteries, that there's more safety around button batteries.
And these are found in children's toys, TV remotes. They're in all of our homes, aren't they?
Exactly. So raising awareness and also safety standards for products with button batteries has been the key campaign.
And you have another campaign ongoing as well, Banker Dave. Tell me about that.
Yes, so I've always been keen to see some form of community banking in Stoke-on-Trent because there are lots of people, sadly, who, in order to get a very small amount of money, a micro loan, might have to go to loan sharks. There are also small start-up businesses that can't get funding from conventional high street banks. And if we had a loans and savings bank, which is what Dave opened in Burnley, to help these people, then that would make more difference to kind of level up our community than any infrastructure project. It's about helping lots and lots of people with a small amount, but also allowing the community to help each other. And that's the key thing, community paying in, community taking out, but it's that connection which I'm really, really keen on.
Jo Gideon, can't believe you're not seeking re-adoption at the next election. I also really cannot believe you're 70. If I look half as good as you at 70, then we'll all be winning. It's really nice to meet you, Jo Gideon.
Thank you.